you. Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm really excited to present to you the findings of our project that looked at the impact that food hubs have in Leeds. And we aimed to look at the impact in terms of sustainability, health, food security and inclusive growth, all very important agendas and strategies of Leeds City Council. I'm trying to pick up the faces from the council. And share best practice of the wonderful work that some of the food hubs do, and eventually put forward some recommendations, policy recommendations on how they can be supported, food hubs can be supported in order to eventually lead to a healthier, more resilient, more just food system. To answer your question, it has been a wonderful collaboration. I have been impressed with how much time and how helpful everybody has been at Leeds City Council, considering that this is not their main sort of, role, for example, or it falls within the roles, but, it has been wonderful and I would like to build on that. You can ask the collaborators to see what they say. Might be a different picture, but I had a wonderful time. So thank you very much, everybody involved, and some of the names are up there. So this project sits in a context of really high food insecurity. We're experiencing it in the UK, and that food insecurity is not felt equally across the geographies, the North East and Yorkshire being more worst affected. So what we did is we went out and we met the food hubs. We tried to map them, and that's a little map there where they are. These are the names of the ones that we spoke to. We did a survey and we developed some case studies. So when I talk about food hubs, there are entities that primarily sit in the third sector, groups, organisations. There could be food banks, there could be pantries, community cafes. Some work on the community food growing side of things. So they do so many different things, a lot of the time more than one. They don't focus on just one. And the first thing that we found out, and our aim was to provide evidence, that's the main priority, evidence to support policy recommendations. So the first thing we wanted to do is put a little bit more evidence on what are the impacts that these food hubs bring to the communities and the food system. And we grouped those positive impacts across 4 categories. They do a lot more than just help with the groceries. So the first category was about sustainability. So they do a lot to enhance sustainability, and they do that by reducing greenhouse gases emissions, reducing food waste. We were talking about upcycling before. They reduce food miles by sourcing the food a lot more locally, for example. They grow fruit and vegetables. They support biodiversity, and also they improve soil quality with some organic growing practices, for example. They also do a lot to support the local economy, and they do that by providing market access to smaller food businesses. They generate some revenue sometimes through some social enterprise type of models. They employ staff and they train volunteers, and they facilitate connections between different organisations and actors sitting in that sort of area, and that's a really important function that they perform, and it's not that obvious at the beginning, but that's why we call them food hubs, because they're hubs. The name, the clues in the name. They connect different groups and organisations. They also assist the members, the people that come and use those food hubs, to access services and support in terms of other financial difficulties they might have that has led them to being food insecure. They strengthen the local food system, so that local food production and consumption element is really important, a key part of food hubs. They do that by providing access to food growing, for example, or other facilities. Oh dear, I have 1 minute. Right, I better speed up. The work in advocacy as well at local, sort of national governance sort of level, and yeah, they develop food growing and cooking skills. One last thing that they do really importantly, and that's not the least important, is improving well-being, physical, mental, emotional well-being of the people that use them. And they do that by providing opportunities for social connection. We produce 3 outputs. One is the policy brief, where we summarise what I just described, and we also make recommendations on how they can be supported. at different levels, and those recommendations come with a caveat. They need to be supported, but also in a balanced way. Food hubs, need to be supported, but we shouldn't rely on them to tackle food poverty, which is something that needs to be tackled at a wider sort of level. We produced an impact evaluation toolkit for the food hubs themselves to be able to evaluate and show and evidence their impact, and we used it to create 10 best practice case studies, and we produced a booklet. All the outputs are on that link if you want to have a look at them, and I think I'm about to run out of time, so thank you very much.